Hi everyone, welcome to the channel Sluggers Blue for your CAT PRC preparation. In this session, we'll be taking up the questions of the RC, the fallacy of meritocracy. This was RC that was asked in the second slot of your CAT exam in 2018. This is the part two of the video, by the way. Okay, so those of you who have not watched this session earlier, so guys, every one single session comprises two videos, part one and part two. Part one is that something that we've already discussed in the earlier is something that I expect you to have watched already. If you have not, you can click on the right side. You should be if you must be able to see a letter I. There's a cue card here. If you go there, hover your cursor there, so it will take you. It will show you a couple of thumbnails. One will take you to the introductory session of the course, and the other will take you to the first part of the session. Okay, the first part I've basically just taken you through the. I've basically explained the whole passage by the use of a schematic. Okay, and in this part we'll be going through the questions, and then I'll give you a vocabulary list, a short vocabulary list, and then finally the analysis and readings for the passage. Okay, so let's start. Okay, guys, so let's start with the first question. It says that the author critiques meritocracy for all of the following reasons except that A, B, C, and D. There are four options given, right? Now, before we go to the options, let's just talk about the word critiques here first. Now, guys, critiques and criticizes are two different words which are often confused. And I'm not saying that the meaning is completely different. So when you say criticizes, that you basically mean that you're trying to be when the person is being critical about something, they are probably pointing out the negative aspects or disadvantages of that idea. That's what it means when you criticize something. When you critique something, then there might be criticism involved in critiquing, but it's more of an evaluatory nature. That means you are more like it's almost like you're evaluating that idea or concept. In the process, you might happen to critique some parts of it, and you might also happen to not have any objections on some other parts of it. But critique has a more in-depth meaning as compared to criticizing something, right? So, not that that has made any too much of a difference in the case of this question, but I still thought that you should know the difference here. Okay, anyhow, continuing with the question now. So he says the author critiques meritocracy for all of the following reasons except that. So that means, okay, first of all, we need to note here that this is once again a triple TF scenario, right? There are three of the options will be such that where the author has evaluated or criticized meritocracy in that context, basis that reason, and one of the options will be such that which will not relating to which the author has not criticized or evaluated, at least not criticized the idea of meritocracy. Okay, so let's go option by option. Let's see which one is true and which one is false. The false one will be your answer. So, first one, the author critiques meritocracy for all the following reasons except that diversity and context specificity are important for making major advances in any field. The author does agree with this, right? And in fact, he has made this as a point against meritocracy. He says that optimal hiring based on context, right? So context specificity matters, and optimal teams are diverse. So diversity matters for making advances in any major field. And also there is one more point of reference towards the end that ranking people by common criteria produces homogeneity as opposed to diversity in this case. Yeah, and that is not likely to lead to breakthroughs. So yes, this is true. The author has critiqued meritocracy uh, in respect to this idea that diversity and context specificity are important for making major advances in any field, and meritocracy doesn't offer that, right? So that is true and hence can be eliminated. Okay, coming to the next option. Criteria designed to assess merit are insufficient to test expertise in any field of knowledge. Criteria designed to assess merit are insufficient. Yes, that's what the author talks about at this point of reference, right? He says that when believers in meritocracy, when they see that okay, you can have your diversity, but at least ensure that every person is the best, uh, is the most meritorious expert from their domain. In that case, he then critiques that idea. He criticizes that idea. He says that that position suffers from a similar flaw, and he says that even within the knowledge domain, no test or criteria can be applied to individuals. Okay, so criteria designed to assess merit are insufficient to test expertise in any field of knowledge. The author does agree with this, and hence we can and evaluates and criticizes meritocracy on these terms, on these lines, that meritocracy cannot be applied. Okay, so to any field of knowledge, because it's in the any it will be insufficient to test expertise, right? So even this is true according to the author. So you can eliminate this. This is also something. Option B was also something where a basis which the author has critiqued meritocracy. Option C: modern problems are multifaceted and require varied skill sets to be solved. Yes, that's what he talks about here. He says that the multidimensional and layered character of uh, complex problems also undermines the principles of meritocracy. This is something that he has very clearly, with respect to this idea, he has critiqued or criticized meritocracy here, right? So, yeah, this will definitely be true. I really believe that the choice of word critique here is not really required. The questions that are basically wanted to know, wanted to figure out, the word criticize would have fit better here. But anyhow, we're not here to comment on that. So finally, the last option, coming to the last option, an ideal team comprises of best individuals from diverse fields of knowledge. Now, this is something that the author, especially the word, the expression "best individuals," is something that the author does not agree with at all. This is something that is this idea is propagated by the people who are believers in meritocracy. They might believe that an ideal team comprises of best individuals from diverse fields of knowledge, and the author has in fact countered that it is not possible to figure out find best individuals from any field of knowledge, as it was seen in option B, right? So this comes from here, this point of reference, but this is not what the author agrees with. So the author definitely does not say this, and hence, and in fact, this does not even criticize meritocracy. This point, or create or critique meritocracy. This basically is in favor of a different variant of meritocracy, right? So this will definitely will be false, and hence will be your answer for this particular question. Okay, so I hope this question is clear. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, guys, so coming to the second question, sorry. The stem says, which of the following conditions, if true, would invalidate the passage's main argument? Okay, so guys, please note that this is an application question. Okay, and an application question, especially when you are required to weaken or even strengthen an argument, it always makes sense to first know, or at least define, or at least become conscious of what the passage's main argument is, right? Only if you have defined that will you be able to, like, you need a backdrop to check the options, right? So that definition of the passage's main argument serves as the backdrop to check whether the option is supporting it or invalidating it. If you let the main argument remain vague in your head, if you don't try to be a little conscious of it, in that case you might just fall for the wrong option, right? So all right, so that's we're gonna do the same thing here. So before we read the options, let's figure out, let's define what the passage's main argument is, which is that modern complex problems cannot be solved by deploying the meritocratic approach. Okay, and and also that they are better addressed by forming teams which are quite diverse in nature, suited to the context of the problem, suited to the such that the diversity is suited to the context of the problem. So that's what the main argument of the passage is. Okay, and the way an option can weaken this argument is it can either target this part, this left side, where the author says that meritocracy cannot help solve these problems. So if the argument says no, it can help, then it weakens the argument, right? If the option says it can help, then it weakens the argument. Or it can target the right side of the argument, where it says that where the author's argument is that diversity will help. And if the option says that no, diversity will not help, then also that's also a way in which the option can invalidate the author's argument, right? So either the left part or this part, right? So we'll just, with that in mind, let's start with the options. First option says, if top scorers possessed multidisciplinary knowledge that enabled them to look at a problem from several perspectives, that would invalidate the passage's main argument. So guys, this is an option that addresses the left part here. Okay. See, top scorers are basically your meritocratic people, the people who are at the top of this pyramid of the tests, right? So if you allow that, if we allow for the idea that, let's say, top scorers possess multidisciplinary knowledge, well, in that case, it obviously makes sense. If they already possess multidisciplinary knowledge, then they will be able to make sense of the complex problems which have multiple dimensions and they have multiple layers, right? So if top scorers themselves are able to address, have the know-how and the sophistication, so that they have the multidisciplinary knowledge to cater to the complex problems, then this part of the author's argument is invalidated, right? And hence the author's argument itself is invalidated, right? So this is an option that can be the correct answer. Okay, so I'm going to mark this as a capital S. Use. Okay, so let's come to the next option now. The option B says, if a new machine learning algorithm were developed that proved to be more effective than the random decision forest. Okay, now this doesn't target the author's argument directly, but it rather targets the analogy that the author has used here. The author has used the analogy of the new machine learning algorithm of the random decision forest algorithm, because the underlying logic of this algorithm is also of diversity, solving complex problems by virtue of diversity, right? It has the same logic, and that's the reason why he has used that as an evidence to support his argument here. Let's suppose there's a new machine learning algorithm that proves to be more effective than this algorithm. Now we don't really know that the effectiveness of this new algorithm is by virtue of is because of what factors? Do the factor include, is it that the new machine learning algorithm is based on the logic of meritocracy as opposed to diversity? If yes, yes, in that case it can invalidate the argument. Or but if it is so that the new learning algorithm is better than the random decision forest due to some other factors which are unrelated to the argument, in that case, this does not weaken the author's main argument at all. Okay, and we don't know what case it is, right? And because we don't know for sure that if it is better because it is based on meritocracy or some other unrelated factor, we can't say that this will necessarily weaken the argument, right? So this can be easily eliminated here. Option B. Let's come to the next one. If it were proven that teams characterized by diversity and end up being conflicted about problems and take a long time to arrive at a solution. Now, this comes quite close actually. But the problem with this option, guys, is that the author's argument has nothing to do with how much time it takes to arrive at a solution. The author's argument is simply that diverse teams which are suited to the context of the problem will be able to provide solutions. He doesn't say anything about the time that they will take. Okay, and if the author has anyways not said anything about the time that they will take, then by making an argument that they will take a long time, you don't weaken the author's argument. You can't weaken something that does not exist. The author has anyways not made the point. So saying that they will take a long time, you're just criticizing, you're just giving talking about a disadvantage of the diversity approach. But because the author has anyways not made the point about how much less or long time it might take, this will not weaken the argument. So you eliminate this. Next one, if assessment tests were made more extensive and rigorous. Okay. See, guys, the author's point is not about the extensivity or the rigor of the tests. He doesn't make the author says that the author's main point is that if you rank people by common criteria, it will produce homogeneity, right? And like in the meritocratic approach, as opposed to the diversity approach, and that's not likely to lead to breakthroughs. So just by making these assessment tests more difficult, just by making these assessment tests more difficult, this does not does anything to the argument. In fact, it basically the author's argument still stands. Okay, it doesn't matter if you make the author will just respond by saying that okay, it doesn't matter how difficult or extensive you make them, because you'll still be giving the same using the same criteria, that is these tests, to rank all the people, right? And then that will anyways produce homogeneity, and hence it will still not lead you anywhere near to solving the complex problems. So even this option is not able to weaken the author's point of view or main argument. Hence, all three can be eliminated. Your correct answer will be option A. Okay, I hope this is clear. Let's go to the next question. Okay, guys, so let's start with question 3. The STEM says, which of the following best describes the purpose of the example of neuroscience? Well, the example of neuroscience is mentioned here, and the reason why the author has mentioned the example can be, summed up by this sentence, which says that even with a knowledge domain, no test or criteria applied to individuals will produce the best team. Why? Each of these domains possesses such depth and breadth that no test can exist. And then he goes into the details of the example. So essentially, what he's saying is that, uh, like, consider, for example, in the field of neuroscience, it's so deep and it has so much of breadth that there is no way you can create a test which can give you the best team or which can give you a measure of meritocracy in the domain, right? That is why the example that has been given to give you the idea of the depth and breadth of subjects here. Okay. Now, with that, let's start with the options. The first one says, in narrow fields of knowledge, a meaningful assessment of expertise has always been possible. Now, we see the author, this option seems to imply that only in case of neuroscience, there is so much of breadth and depth that you cannot apply meritocracy. But in other narrow fields of knowledge, a meaningful assessment of expertise has always been possible. But the author has nowhere implied that the field of neuroscience is a broad one or the other fields are the narrow one. And in the field of neuroscience, it's not possible, but it might thus be possible in the narrower fields. No, he has not made any comments relating to any differential comments based on the narrowness or the broadness of the fields. He has basically taken neuroscience as a representation, as a representative of the various fields of knowledge, and given the example that yes, like consider neuroscience, even like the way it has so much of breadth and depth. Similarly, in other domains of knowledge, even with the other knowledge domains, like it's not possible because they'll all be so in depth and so broad, right? So because author has not said anything about, has not made any differential comment on narrow fields of knowledge or broad fields of knowledge, right? So something that this is definitely an error of inclusion. No discussion has been done on the relative differential narrowness of broadness of the fields of knowledge. Okay, option E one is eliminated. Second option, he says, in the modern age, every field of knowledge is so vast that a meaningful assessment of merit is impossible. Yes, this is in fact what he's trying to say here. See, guys, the author has taken neuroscience as a representative of fields of knowledge in the modern age. And he has used it as an example then to describe how most of them are so vast that meaningful assessment of merit in those domains is impossible. That's exactly what he's trying to say. See, and then you get this modern age part is called for by reference to when he talks about solving modern problems, right? He says the complexity of modern problems. So it is also called for, but there's nothing uncalled for so far as this option is concerned. So this can be an answer. Let's come to the next one. Unlike other fields of knowledge, neuroscience is an exceptionally complex field, making a meaningful assessment of neuroscientists impossible. Now, again, the same problem that concern that the option A had created, that option C also seems to imply that the author has not used neuroscience example as a representative set. Okay, so because option C says that unlike other fields of knowledge, neuroscience is exceptionally complex. Like it says that only neuroscience is exceptionally complex. The rest of the knowledge fields are not so complex. No, this is nothing that uh, this is not something that the author has said anywhere in this paragraph or in the whole passage, in fact, right? So again, there has been no comment on, there's been no differential treatment by the author so far as various fields of knowledge are concerned, right? He has taken neuroscience as a representative set of any modern field of knowledge and said that the meaningful assessment is not possible of merit in this, even in this case is not possible. So even this can be eliminated very easily. Option D, neuroscience is an advanced field of science because of its connections with other branches of science like oncology and biostatistics. It's an advanced field of science because of its connections with okay, now, first of all, the author doesn't really, he does say that it is an advanced field. It does seem to imply, it can be inferred that, yeah, he says that it's an advanced field of science. But whether it is because of connections with other branches of science or biostatistics or not, is not something that he has been very clear about. And even if he has to some extent said that, that is definitely not the reason why, not the purpose why he mentions the example of neuroscience. The example of neuroscience, as I already stipulated, it has been mentioned to show the depth, to demonstrate the depth and breadth of the various fields of knowledge in the modern age, right? And how because of that it is not possible to assess merit in such broad and deep domains. Okay, so again, this can be eliminated. So your correct answer will be option B. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so starting with the fourth question, it says, which of the following conditions would weaken the efficacy of a random decision forest? All right. So guys, now so far as the efficacy of a random decision forest is concerned, it's a machine learning algorithm, and I'm sure there must be n number of ways of weakening or strengthening the efficacy of a random decision forest. But in the context of the passage, where the author has essentially used this example to demonstrate the utility of the idea of diversity to solve complex problems. In that context, the efficacy basically depends on just one criteria, which is diversity, right? So the better the diversity, the more will be the efficacy of the forest, and better the diversity, more the efficacy of the forest, and worse the diversity, if the diversity is not so good, less will be the efficacy of the forest, right? So in this backdrop, this is what we'll be using as a backdrop to assess the options again. So let's start with the first option. It says, if the types of decision trees in each ensemble of the forest were doubled, okay, well, will that weaken the efficacy? See guys, just check whether this act will increase the diversity or decrease diversity. What does it say? It basically says that the types of decision trees have been increased. If the types have been increased, that obviously increases the diversity, right? And if it increases the diversity, that definitely means that this will not weaken. This will in fact strengthen the uh, decision forest, right? So hence this cannot be the answer. You can eliminate this. So we need to find the one that weakens. This in fact strengthens. Let's come to the next option. It says, if a large number of decision trees in the ensemble were trained on data derived from easy and hard cases. Okay, so all right, so large number of decision trees have been trained on data derived from easy as well as hard cases. So again, that I think that in a way does add to the efficacy, because you're taking both types of cases. So at least so again, at least does not weaken. If it doesn't strengthen so much, it also does not weaken so much, because it does not, definitely does not hamper the efficacy, the diversity, right? Because it is anyways, by using both types of cases, you're in fact adding to the diversity of the case, and in turn adding to the efficacy. So again, this can be eliminated. Option C, it says, if the type of ensembles of decision trees in the forest were doubled. The types of ensembles of decision trees in the forest were doubled. See guys, again, to check for efficacy, you need to check for diversity. Whether doubling the, see, he's not doubling the decision trees, he's doubling the types of ensembles. So if the types of ensembles of decision trees in the forest are doubled, again it will increase the diversity, and if it increases the diversity, it will also increase the efficacy. So again, this does not weaken the author's the efficacy of the decision forest. So this can also be eliminated with a capital E. Let's come to the last one. If a large number of decision trees in the ensemble were trained on data derived from easy cases. See, what does he say? Large number of decision trees are treated in the ensemble were trained on data only derived from easy cases. So most of them are trained on data derived from easy cases. That means that seems to be bringing down the diversity, because there are no hard cases involved, right? And then most of them, in fact, it also says large number of them. So there's a lack of diversity. Some number of them will have to be trained on the easy cases, and some should be for hard cases, and some for moderate, and so on and so forth. But it cannot be a large number of decision trees being trained only on one type of cases, be it easy or hard. And that's what this option does. So it decreases the diversity, and hence also will bring down the efficacy of the forest. And that's the reason why you can see that this option will in fact weaken your weaken the efficacy of the random decision forest, and hence will be your answer. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Let's go to the last question. Okay guys, so let's start with the last question. It says that on the basis of the passage, Which of the following teams is likely to be most effective in solving the problem of rising obesity levels? Okay, so guys, if you guys recall, the author had given the example of obesity as had talked about obesity as an example of a modern complex problem, right? Which has multiple dimensions and multiple layers, which he has listed here in the paragraph, right? So that's what it's about, and we are supposed to figure out. And he's given the description of four potential teams, which and the question is to we need to figure out which of these teams will be the most is likely to be the most effective in solving this problem, right? Now, before we go and read the options, let's try to take down or define a couple of factors basis which will judge the options, right? The first factor and the most important one here is diversity. It has to be a team that is diverse enough, and then it's not just diversity. It has to be diverse in the right contextual sense, right? It has to be diverse in the with the diversity has to be contextually relevant. Okay, it cannot be diversity in terms of anything, like as you will see in the options, I guess. So it has to be contextually relevant. So that's the first factor is it has to be diverse. Second factor is it probably would not have much the apt team, according to the author on the basis of the passage, would not have much to do with meritocracy here, right? These are the factors that we shall consider while looking at while checking the options. Okay, so let's start. The first one says a specialized team of nutritionists from various countries who are also trained in the machine learning algorithm of random decision forest. Okay, now first of all, the machine learning algorithm of random decision forest was mentioned by the author only to exemplify the utility of the idea of diversity for solving modern complex problems. The reason why he mentions it, he doesn't mean to say that everyone who's solving any kind of complex problems needs to learn this algorithm. It's just an analogy that has been given here. So that's definitely an error of distortion here. Second, a specialized team of nutritionists. See, guys, it says a specialized team. And it's just nutritionists that he talks about. This team just has a specialized team of nutritionists, no one else. So, what about the transport dimension? What about the infrastructure dimension? What about the psychological factors? What about the media? What are these factors that contribute to this, right? So there is this. So this team definitely lacks diversity, and hence would not make the cut, right? So yeah, excuse my handwriting, please. So you can clearly eliminate this option. This option is very easily eliminated. So let's come to the next one. A team comprised of nutritionists, psychologists, urban planners, and media personnel. So yes, there is substantial diversity here. Nutritionists, psychologists, urban planners will take care of in transport and infra, and media personnel will take care of media, so on and so forth. Good. Who have each performed well in their respective subject tests. So they have also performed well in their respective subject tests. So this can be a potential answer. See, I'm only marking this as a small s, like a weak selection, because who knows, we might just get something even better. We might get an option which has even more diversity. Okay, and also this says that they have performed well in their respective subject tests. So it does have at least a small element of meritocracy here. Okay, so still, but still, it's not an option that you will eliminate because it has substantial diversity, and it also doesn't say that they are the best performers. So I don't we don't have we cannot we need not have too much reservation with this option. Okay, let's come to the next one. A specialized team of top nutritionists from various countries who also possess some knowledge of psychology. Again, problem. See, it's just again in this case again we're talking about just nutritionists, no diversity here. Yeah. So also, like, if it says various countries, you can't say that there is some diversity because they are from various countries. See, guys, the diversity has to be contextually relevant. Okay, it has to be diversity that helps solve the problem. It cannot be diversity in any random context, right? So this does not add to the diversity. Diversity has to be relevant here. So doesn't count as diversity where it's countries, and also it's just nutritionists who have some knowledge of psychology. That's it. So it's not diverse enough again. So you eliminate this option as well. Okay, this also lacks diversity. Uh, and now let's come to the next option. It says a team comprised of nutritionists, psychologists, urban planners. So I think this is quite similar, right? The first part is quite similar to as if you compare it with the second option, and media personnel who have each scored a distinction in their respective subjectives. and that's where the difference lies. If you compare option B and D, the difference is here. These have scored a distinction, okay, and these have just performed well in their respective subject. Rest of the option is I think more or less the same. So as much as option D also seems to check upon diversity, it does seem to have some diversity, okay, because you have people from various team has nutritionists, psychologists, urban planners, and media personnel, everyone. But again, this also seems to have an element of meritocracy here. And in this case, the element of meritocracy is more pronounced, okay, as compared to this. In this case, like you just have these people performing well in their respective subjects, and in this case, it is, well, they have a distinction. So, assuming that in case of option B, the relaxation that has been provided in terms of performance in the subject test, relaxation in the test will be used to find better fits of nutritionists, psychologists, and urban planners and media personnel as compared to the fit that will be found in option D. We can say that option B will be a more apt team here because they are not so much hell bent on meritocracy as option D seems to be. Option D seems to be also hell bent on the distinction, right? Meritocracy apart from diversity. So yeah, so your correct answer here will be option B. All right. So with that, we complete the questions, and now we'll move on to the vocabulary list. Okay, so let's start with the vocabulary list. The words that I figured that may some of you may have found challenging, I've highlighted them here on the left side in the passage, so that you can read you can also check the context in which the word has been used. And so I think there are 7 of them here. And on the right side, I've provided you the meaning, and I've tried to stick to the contextual meaning of these words. Okay. So, okay, and as always, I'm not gonna read and discuss each and every word its meaning right now in the video, because we'll have vocabulary videos, separate vocabulary sessions and videos, tutorials in different courses. Okay, so if you want to go through these meanings and while also relating them with their context of the words, you can pause the video at this point of time and do that. And yeah, now I'll move on to the analysis and readings part. Okay, so let's start with the analysis and readings. So, guys, the first parameter of RC analysis, the genre. The genre is economics and management. So, again, for those of you who may have found this difficult to get the hang of the content, the ideas, terminology, etc., you might benefit from reading more content in the genre. And readability was 6 of the passage. Again, when I say readability, I'm just talking about the passage, not the whole RC. Readability pertains only to the passage. Difficulty level of the whole RC pertains to the passage as well as questions. So for the passage, the readability was 6.5, moderate, not very easy, not very difficult either. Length of the passage, 512 words. That amounts to around 102.4 words per question. Pretty standard for CAT passages, around 100 words per question, right? Idle time would have been 9 to 10 minutes. Now, idle time does not mean that this is the amount of time that you may have taken while you're practicing or while you're still developing the skill of comprehension or answering questions. This is what should be your target time. So if this were to be a passage that you attempted in CAT, you shouldn't be taking more than 9 minutes to solve this. Okay. So yeah, that's about the idle time. Finally, suggested readings for like on similar topics. There are 2 articles. There's one is The Tyranny of Work by Jamie McCallum and Universal Unions by Mark R. Riff, both from the same platform, Egon. In fact, the link to the article from which this RC has been taken also has been posted in the description. You can check that out as well, and then you can check out the links to these subsequent articles, which also relate to the same genre, economics, and to similar topics, not exactly similar, but yeah, similar domains. So you can check that out to get some more exposure in this genre. Okay, so with that, we're done with the analysis and reading part. Okay, so this is the course map. We have completed, this is the 4th RC that we completed here, the fallacy of meritocracy, and the 5th one will be put live soon, and well, depending on when you're watching the video. So yeah, and yes, that's with that we'll finish the economics and management genre, and then we'll pick up the next genre ASAP. Okay. So yeah. Okay, so with that, we have completed the session and discussed the RC and the questions and vocabulary and everything. So, guys, those of you who have not watched the intro video, you can click here and it will take you to the intro video of the course. And the others who have not seen the passage explainer, you probably just started with the questions, or maybe you've already read the RC from this video itself and solved the questions while watching the video. If you want to go through the passage explainer, you can check out the first part of the video. You can click right here. If you're not able to see the cards and thumbnails of these videos on the left or right side, you can check the cue card on the right top. There should be a I letter icon there, where where if you hover your cursor, it will take you to the it will show you a couple of thumbnails that will lead you to these videos. Okay. And yeah, that's about it. And do share the channel and subscribe, guys, with people that you subscribe to the channel and share it with people and your friends whom you think might find this useful. So that's about it. See you in the next one.